What's up, people? Welcome back to my channel, and if this is the first time that you've ever seen me, my name is Desmond Z. Today I am here to talk to you just about some books that I have been reading recently. It has been a couple of weeks since I've made a video, so I've read quite a bit since the last time you saw me, and I apologize. That's not the tune of that song. That's not the tune. Shout out to Anita Baker. Your mama didn't raise you right if you didn't hear Anita Baker growing up. But anyway, I'm just gonna talk to you about some books that I've read recently, and let's get into it. We're gonna start off strong. We're gonna start off strong with Red Clay. This right here, one of the best books I've read. One of the best books I've ever read. And I know at the end of the year, I am still going to be thinking about this. I know next year, I'm still going to be thinking about this. This book is about, what is it about? Imagine you just buried your grandfather and some woman walks up onto your porch and says, hey, a long time ago, my family used to own yours. Girl. Bitch, if you don't get off my porch, bitch. Get up off my porch, girl. It is 1943, and in Red Clay, Alabama, a frail old white woman by the name of Adelaide Parker shows up on the porch of the now deceased Felix, and she says, Felix H. Parker. And she says to his granddaughter, hey, my family used to own yours. And from there, we get the story of Felix and his upbringing on this plantation with his family. And then, of course, the white family that owned his. And you get the story of slavery, obviously, Jim Crow, Reconstruction, the Civil War. And this novel does such a good job of not just showing like the physical torment that Black people went through during those times, but also the psychological games that had to be played in order to survive. It does such a good job of having that balance of showing Black people still being human, still having lives, still having to find love and peace and like unity and with the people around them, with their, I can't even put it into words. It's just because they still had to be people. There still had to be some joy, some hope in their lives in order for them to survive that. Because if they didn't, then I wouldn't be here. Like if they didn't survive those times, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of this camera in front of you. And it's such an amazing story. It shows how they didn't all get along. Like there obviously there was conflict between them. Like just all these natural human emotions that they felt, and then still trying to make it through being held in bondage. And just such an amazing job. Like there's a scene between these two characters, these two white people, where the wife and the husband are talking, and she's saying, like, I'm not going to give names, so like it's not a spoiler for you, but this is just a small little part in the book where the wife is talking to the husband, and he's like, what do you think about the Klan? What do you think about, me joining this group or whatever? And she says how she thinks it's despicable. It goes against everything she believes in, and she doesn't like it. It's deplorable and all of that. But as he's starting to mention, hey, I'm gonna join possibly, she's like, oh, I don't want to know about it. It's not my business, and don't tell me about it. And that is the problem. That is the problem. Not only is he a despicable human being, you are just as bad because you're complicit. And because of that complicitness is the reason why the world is in the state that it is in now. Like that still applies today. So many people are just complicit because it won't affect them. And it's just amazing. An amazing book. The Love Lyric. I've spoken about this book before. I think the last time I talked about it, I wasn't finished with it, but it's amazing. It's top tier. It's the third book in the Green Sisters series, and it's so good. It's so good. I won't talk about it much. I won't talk about it long because I've spoken about it before, but just know I love this book. And for so long, The Neighbor Favor came first, and then The Partner Plot, and this is the third one, obviously. And after, I finished the second one, The Neighbor Favor was still my favorite. Like, I enjoyed The Partner Plot. Neighbor Favor was still the number one. Love Lyric, you know, it's got Neighbor Favor has competition now. Like, it's so good. It's such a good series, and you really need to read these. Read these. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. There's really not much that I need to say about this that hasn't already been said. It is a classic for a reason. This is the first time I've ever read this book. Not too much on me. It's 2025. Yes, it's the first time I've ever read it. If you don't know, if you have been sleeping under a rock, but see, I was aware of the novel. I knew it existed, and I knew the story. I know about the TV movie with Halle Berry in it and all that. I'm aware, okay? But if you have been living under a rock and you don't know what this book is about, it is about Janie Crawford, a Southern black woman in the 1930s whose journey from a free-spirited girl to a woman of independence and substance has inspired writers and readers for close to 70 years. That's what this book is about. And you have this woman who, the time that she lives in, who she is as a person just doesn't match. And I guess you can still say now, because it's still like women today are still so they need to be restricted in so many ways, and yet she is a woman determined to live life on her own terms. So when she's 16 and her grandmother wants to marry her off to this old man, she is going to fight, and she is still going to live life for herself, and she's not going to stop until she gets, you know, that independence. And you follow her along on this journey, and it's obviously a love story as well, and it was just amazing. I wasn't prepared. I knew the book was good, but I wasn't prepared for the amount of quotable lines that's in this book. Like the things that it's just an amazing book. So good, so good, so good, so good. I know you hate it, but I'm so good, so good, so good. Also, I know this is really random. This is, but I recently met Daniel Black. If you follow me on Instagram, then you saw that. If you're not following me on Instagram, why you being fake? Why you ain't following me? But I recently met him, and y'all know how I've talked about Don't Cry For Me endlessly. And then also Perfect Peace. And now Isaac's Song has become one of my favorites of all time as well. But I met him recently at a book event. I got my book signed and everything. Like, please, watch how you talk to me. Okay? Like, that was a couple of weeks ago now, but y'all know I haven't posted in a while. And also, when I was there, that was the first time that I ever met somebody like out in the wild who was subscribed to my channel, and it was so cool. Like, side note, like I kept saying, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you." I feel like I said that the entire time, and I didn't say anything else other than "Hi" and "It's so nice to meet you" anytime she would say something. But if you ever see me again out in the streets, I'll be better. I'll be better. I'm just as funny, and I'm just as cool in real life. I promise. I promise. The next book is My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I've spoken about this before. I said I had an arc for it. I finally finished it. When did I finish that book? Was it like a week ago? 7 days? 7 whole days without a word from you. I don't know. That doesn't matter. I finished it, and this book is about this girl named Louisa. She has been living in foster care for all of her life, and she doesn't trust anybody. She only had one person in this world who she could call hers, and that person is no longer here. And now she is just struggling, and she just wants happiness. She just wants hope. She just wants somebody to care for her. And she crosses paths with this artist who also grew up like her, but he was able to find his people as well. Like, she found her one person. He had these other friends that he was able to find, happiness with, because his home life was bad. And the painting that he's most known for now, she's admired it for so long, and they cross paths somehow, and that leads her down a path like this journey. She gets to learn of his story and what led to this famous painting being created. And it's signature Frederick Bachman. It's got his quirky writing, his humor, all of that. I will say that, this is small, but it's just a personal thing. One too many fart jokes for me. One too many fart jokes for me. That's something that never really works for me in media in general. In life, a fart joke will never really land for me. It's just something that it don't work for me. That, and I will also say that even though, I gets down with Freddie B. Okay, I'm all wrapped up with my boy Freddie B. But I would say for like the first half of this book, I wasn't really sure. I was like, it was never to the point where it's like, oh, I want to DNF this, but I was just like, okay, I'm along for the ride, but I'm not really sure I want to stay. I might tell you to drop me off somewhere. I don't think I want to actually go along on this ride. I was unsure, but then I realized, oh, he's got me. It's like I'm here. I want to know how this ends. And yeah, it's like quintessential Frederick Bachman. Now, at the end of the day, will this be one of my favorites? Will this be top? Will this top any other Frederick Bachman book? Anxious People is still like in Beartown, or still like number 1 and 2 for me. Yeah, Anxious People, Beartown, and A Man Called Uvo are still top 3 for me. I'm not really sure where this falls. Like, I don't really want to have to like rank them, but My Friends is still like a solid, good novel. And I think maybe over time, my fondness for the book will grow, because that does happen with me. Like, I'll have to sit with the book for a good while, and sometimes I'll look back and I'll be like, oh, wait, which is typical. So would I recommend this to people? Of course I would. Junie, this is a book. Now, I just finished this book less than 24 hours ago. Less than 24 hours ago is when I finished this book. So my feelings on this book, they are like my full impression of the book, my full thoughts are tentative, okay? It's tentative, okay? And this is another book that takes place in the time of slavery. Like, I look at quite a few. Zora Neale Hurston, even though that doesn't take place in slavery times, it's still very close. It's closer to that time period. And Red Clay, obviously, like, I've read a lot of like historical fiction and just fiction like closer to that era. But Junie is about this girl named Junie. She's 16 years old and she's enslaved. She spent her life on the Bellarine plantation in Alabama, cooking and cleaning alongside her family. I'm not really sure how I feel about this book, because for a book that takes place during slavery time, it gives you a very like diet version of slavery. Now, there is an author's note in here, and the author speaks on the fact that she didn't want to focus just on like, the physical torment and just be trauma, which I can completely understand. Because like I spoke on with Red Clay, it does a good job of, showing the full scope of humanity within these people, and not just having them just be in chains. They still were able to find love and hope with each other while still fighting to stay alive. Now, this though, it's very diet, very low fat. And it's almost like what you would learn in school, how they talk about and how they would tell you that, oh, they were slaves for like 5 seconds and, they had to be maids, but it wasn't all that bad. And then Martin Luther King came, and now freedom, and there are no problems in the world. It's kind of like this is how I feel people would teach me in school about slavery, when it's like, that's not the truth. You're lying to me. You're lying. You're a liar who lies. I can tell you're lying, because when you're replying, you stutter. Like, please, don't prove I'm right. 2 songs in a row, dang. But listen, I honestly feel like this was intended for a younger audience. This isn't a YA novel, but it read like one, kind of. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just feels like it was intended for a younger audience, because there was a point where it kind of felt like, oh, hey, these people are treating you not so bad, but that doesn't mean they aren't actually bad. You better watch out, because they might turn on you, and there are people telling you, hey, listen, pay attention. Because our main character, Junie, and the daughter of like the plantation owners, runners, the masters or whatever, they're like basically best friends. Like, Violet has grown up with Junie, and she's always like kept her in her room with her and taught her how to read. And Junie basically goes everywhere that she goes. And it's just kind of like, I don't care what you say. maybe, yes, there had to have been people, white people in that time who didn't treat black people, you know, as bad as the people around them, okay? Yet and still, to own someone, you have to be demented. To feel like you have the right to own a person, you have to be a demented individual. There is something wrong with you. There is. And we talk about that in the book, but it's just, yeah. They're just, so it was just like, I'm all for showing the full scope once again. But there was just sometimes in this book, I was just like, I don't know. I'm not really sure. Like, the writing is good. Let's not get that misunderstood. I think a great writer is the story itself. Like I said, it felt like it was intended for a much younger audience, or just maybe I wasn't the demographic. Maybe I wasn't the target person for that. Writing, really good. The story itself, I'm not really sure. Oh, but the cover? Let's talk about the cover. Can we talk about the cover? Yeah. How to Sleep at Night. The best way to describe this book is, if you are a very liberal individual, you believe everyone should have rights and they should be able to live life the way they were born and the way they want to, as long as they aren't harming others. Okay, as long as your life doesn't infringe upon others and doesn't hurt others, live your life, my love. Okay? But your spouse says, hey, I'm going to run for office and I'm going to run on a platform that is so bigoted, it'll make your motherfucking head spin. Okay? It'll make your head spin. What do you do? What do you do? Because me personally, I'm out of there. I'm out of there. I'm not sticking around. I'm sorry. There is no amount of love that can overshadow the fact that you are a despicable human being. Like, and then for the two of the main characters, Ethan, hold on, because let me look up these people's names. Let me look them up. Ethan and Gabe, that's their names. Ethan and Gabe, a devoted couple for years. They have successful careers, an adorable daughter, and a house in New Jersey and the New Jersey suburbs. Okay, now, which one is it? One night, Ethan makes an announcement that he wants to run for Congress as a Republican, but only if he has progressive Gabe's blessing. For a week, slightly queasy Gabe struggles between supporting his husband and maintaining his own lefty ideals. He can feel himself slowly pulled under the tide of Ethan's ambitions, even as he becomes widely known as a conservative spouse. Now, Gabe is a teacher, and he works with a diverse group of students, some who may be undocumented. So this is very like on the nose for like today's society, the society that we live in. And I'm not sure, like, you know how you read a book and you're like, is this supposed to be satire? And y'all know how I feel about satire. Y'all know you know how I feel. This is how I feel. Know how I feel about satire. I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't think this is supposed to be satire, but it's like, I don't know. Okay, and I feel like if I don't know if it's satire, am I dumb? Or did the book just not do a good job of being satirical? Who knows? Because it ain't the former, because I ain't dumb. But that's neither here nor there. I can't even speak because let me tell you, no book, this is definitely top 5 books where the characters piss me off. Like, there have been very few characters that have pissed me off to this point. Like, and I understand, in a novel, you should be upset with your main characters at some point. You should never be completely in love with the main character. Like, why am I freezing so much? My thoughts. That's how mad I am. That's how angry I am. That's how upset I am. There's never been a main character where I haven't been pissed off at them at some point. Like, there's nobody in my life that I haven't been pissed off with them at some point. That's how much I love them. That's how much I care for them. They have pissed me off in some manner. I have pissed everybody in my life off at some point, I'm sure. I'm supposed to. I'm a human. But these people, There was like no love. There was no love. It was just all pissed offness. It was just all anger. Like, these people, I wanted to fight. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Gabe is so stupid. This man, his husband will come home and say the most off the wall bullshit. And he'll just be like, I can't believe you said that. Like, what is wrong with you? This is not the man I love. This is not the man I married. But you're so cute. I love you so much. And you're such an asshole, but I love you. Like, are you fucking serious right now? Are we serious? Are we serious? Are you being serious right now? And then Ethan's sister, she was no better. She was no better. She's like a writer, and she works for like, was it a magazine, a newspaper? I don't remember. She's a journalist, okay? And she's like having an affair with this woman. That's not a spoiler. Like, I believe that's in the synopsis. She ain't no better. Gabe will be talking to her, and he'd be like, do you hear your brother, the things that he's saying? And she's like, yeah, I don't agree with it either, but hey, you guys want to get a drink? You guys, I need to have a smoke. Like, girl, what? Like, once again, the complicitness that I was talking about with Red Clay and stuff, like, your brother has completely flipped the script. And you want to talk about going outside and having a motherfucking cigarette, girl? You worrying about a motherfucking cigarette? This ain't the time to be smoking cigarettes tonight. Like, everybody in this book pissed me off. Everybody did. Hold You Down is about 4 people. Like, there are 4 people at the center of this novel, right? We have 2 sisters. What were these sisters? Well, they were sisters. What were these sisters' names? Mercy and Lennox. Yeah. Okay, this book takes place in New York City, late 80s, early 90s. We have Mercy and Lennox Howard. They have always had each other growing up. One of them is more, risk averse. She's very straight and narrow, like, very cautious person. And then we have, that's Mercy? Yeah, that's Mercy. Yeah, quiet, straight-laced one. And then Lennox is the wild child. She's the wild card. You never know what's gonna happen. She's gonna do whatever it takes, by any means necessary. She can get into the money, okay? And she gonna survive. And both of these sisters are their mothers as well, and their sons take after them, Dion and Judah. Judah is just like his mom, straight-laced, quiet, goes to school. He's like, I got a plan, I'm going to college, do this, that, and the third. And then Dion is like his mother, the wild card or whatever. Hold on. Judah was the one that was Mercy's son, right? Yeah, it was. Now, basically, the gist of this book is these characters go through a lot of shit, like back to back. Every time you turn around, it is something. Every time. Like, there ain't no letting up, okay? There is no letting up in this book. It is tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. And sometimes that's how life is, okay? That's the way love goes. Ooh. That's the way love goes. That's just how it is. Because I did read some reviews. My foot is falling asleep. I read some reviews and they were like, oh, it's just, there was no letting up. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes that's how life goes. Sometimes, like, if it's done right, then I feel like that works in a novel. As long as there's still some moments of levity and stuff like that, which I feel like there were. But yeah, most of this book, it is like, my God, like, there was no letting up. But there were some things that threw me in the book. One, the timeline. I noticed in this book, like, there were inconsistencies with the writing, because at one point it was like spring, or I think it was like March of 1993. This character celebrates their 18th birthday. But then in November of 2000, the age that they were turning was not the age that they should have been. If they were turning 18 in March of 1993, in November of the year 2000, this is not the age they would have been. That's basic math. And I just felt like, maybe as far as like the editing, like, we forgot, like, oh, we said the character was this age, but maybe it was a typo and we left it in and we forgot to switch that back. And then a character who started college in, the fall of this year, because they graduated in the summer of that year. 4 years later, they will be graduating college, right? If we're doing basic, 4-year bachelor's or whatever. And it was like, oh, I graduate next year. And the year that it was, I'm like, no, it's not. You wouldn't be. You should be graduating this year. Like, because I saw the number. I saw the year that they said you graduated high school. And you didn't skip a year, you went straight to college. So it was things like that I noticed that kept throwing me off. Because like, okay, once a time, sometimes it happens with, with a book or whatever. But like it kept happening with things and I kept picking it up and I was just like, what's going on? I was like, what's happening? So that, and then also, I'm not a big fan of books that go into explicit detail with teenage characters having sex. Like, I'm aware teenagers have sex. They do that, okay? It's just, you can't stop the children, okay? They gonna do it, okay? Teach them to be safe and practice abstinence as much as they can, for as long as they can, okay? Teach the children, okay? I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. But listen, you can't be with the kids 24/7. Hey, I don't like when they describe teenage characters having sex in like explicit detail. That's just something, no matter, I don't care what kind of book it is. It can be, I don't care if it's YA, adult fiction, like it just doesn't need to be, it just gives me, I'm just like, maybe I don't need to be reading about that, okay? Maybe I don't need to be reading about that, okay? So yeah, that threw me. I wasn't a big fan of that. And that's really like the only bad things about it. Other than that, I did enjoy the book, and that is it. There are quite a few other books that I could talk about, but I don't want this video to be too long, and I can save those and talk about those in another video. So that's gonna be it for this video. That's it. Okay, it's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you've been reading. Let me know. You love the way I do when you love in your body. Shout out to Tamar Braxton. Anyways, let me know what you've been reading down below in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed. I will see you in my next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.